What up, everybody, and welcome to Baz on Blades. My name is Baz, and I talk about blades, and today on the tabletop, we are featuring the latest iteration of the Alan Folts designed and Columbia River knife and tool produced Minimalist fixed blade. This is the Minimalist Katana. And like I say, it is the newest version in what has been a very popular series of the Minimalist for Columbia River knife and tool. I have owned multiple versions of this knife, and I've got another version here on the tabletop we will bring out to compare and contrast later on in the video. I'm sort of excited about this knife. It is giving me something in the Minimalist series that it has never featured. Super duper excited to talk about that. So before we do talk about that, let's go ahead and bring out the packaging here. We're going to talk about the price. You can find these. I checked all over the place. They are averaging out around the $29, $30 price point, and I think it's if it is a knife that fills a niche that you need, then it will be worth the price. If it's not, you're not going to be interested regardless what the price is. And I think it's decently fair for the materials and fit and finish. We will get into all that later in the video. Inside the standard green Columbia River knife and tool box, you will find the knife in its injection molded sheath in a plastic bag. In a secondary plastic bag, you will find this injection molded 1.5 inch belt clip that attaches to the sheath for horizontal carry only, which I'm not interested in, so we're going to leave that in here. Again, that is for 1.5 inch belts. Then you're going to find this Columbia River pamphlet here, and it's going to talk about the products, their warranties, their blah, blah, blah. It's standard sort of advertisement that you'll find in any packaging. Let's get that out of the way. We're going to go back over here. We're going to talk about this knife right meow. Baz on Blades, why are you so doggone excited about this Minimalist? The Minimalist has been out forever, and yes, it has. But the Minimalist has always missed in one regard for Baz on Blades, and that is in blade length. This new Katana version has a much longer blade length than any other version previously offered. Now, I have a drop point version out here, and we're going to line them up, and you can see right now, you can see the difference in the blade length. The handle is the same. The blade length, there is a radical difference. Now let's get into some dimensions right here. This Katana features a 3.6 inch blade length, a 3 inch handle length, which is standard for the Minimalist series, and that is going to give you an overall length of 6 5/8 inch, 6.6 inches. We're going to flip over here to metric. You are looking at approximately 9 centimeters for your blade length. You've got 7.5 centimeters here for your handle length, and your overall is 16.5 centimeters. It is very compact, very minimalist, and even though this Katana model features a much longer blade length, it still has the very compact 3 inch 3-finger grip design, and we're going to take a look at that right now. You can see how it fits in my hand. Very deep individual finger choils for your 3-finger grip. Your 4th finger is going to fall on this box woven lanyard for a full grip. That is the sort of the key feature of the Minimalist knives, even in the much smaller 2-inch blade versions. That's 5 inches total, but unlike other small knives, you get a very secure grip on the handle because of those super deep finger choils. I'm going to tell you right now, if you've never held a Minimalist in your hand and you're thinking that's utterly ridiculous, you owe it to yourself to go check one out. There is a reason these knives are so beloved. They are. Alan Folts still does custom versions of these knives, and doggone it, you've got to be one lucky son of a gun to catch one, because no matter where they go on sale, they sell immediately. I have never been lucky enough to catch one in the blade configuration that I wanted that I could grab. I mean, they sell just within hours. Most of the time, within minutes that they get posted. This 3.6 inch blade version is everything that I ever wanted in this knife, and we will talk about that more in detail here in a minute. Let's take a look at this sheath. It is an injection molded sheath, nothing fancy there. It's got decent retention. I think it's a little unrefined. It's Columbia River Knife and Tool, guys. It's a $29 knife, but it does hold the knife firmly. There's not a lot of play or noise in it. You know, you've got all your eyelets here. You can attach that 1.5-inch belt loop to it to carry it horizontally, left or right hand carry. It comes with some paracord. You can drop through the loops here. You can drop it down around your neck, and that is the way the majority of minimalist carriers carry their Minimalist, is as a neck knife. But Baz on Blades doesn't really care for neck knives. I've owned a few neck knives, and you know, I've never carried any of them as a neck knife. That's just not my jam. What I wanted was a hideout piece to carry inside the waistband, appendix carry on my weak side, my left-hand side, because I will have my handgun on my strong side. And if there is ever a situation where I have a firearm retention situation where somebody is going for my firearm, trying to take it from me, I'm going to have to clamp down on it with my strong hand. When you do that, you've got to be able to use your weak side hand to defend yourself. I want to carry a small fixed blade knife on my weak side. I can pull out and dissuade somebody from trying to take my firearm. And by that, I'm saying I may have to stab a motherfucker. I just may have to do it, because if somebody's trying to take your firearm, chances are if they get it, they are going to turn around and use it on you. That is a life or death situation, period. When you need to get somebody off of you and you're struggling, it's probably going to go to the ground. You are never, ever going to reach across your body to your strong side pocket, pull out a folding knife, get it open, and use it. That is just not going to happen. Okay, quit daydreaming about that. I don't care if you've seen all 3 of the John Wick movies. It's just not going to happen. You need something simple, a small compact fixed blade over on your weak side. You can grab with your weak side hand, and you can use it without even thinking about it. And that's the reason I want this knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop some paracord through one of the upper eyelets on this, and I'm going to use that sort of cord pull technique. I'll loop this around, I'll tuck it down in my waist. That way, all I have to do is grab the handle of the knife, rip it out. It's going to pull sheath and everything, but as soon as that cord snatches the sheath up, it's going to pull it off. It's going to be there for use. I don't even have to think about it. Very minimal training to produce this, to use it in self-defense, and that's what I have in mind with this Minimalist, and that's the reason I am loving this 3.6 inch blade length. It's hard to do much damage. It's hard to get somebody off of you with a 2-inch blade. Now, you may think you can do it, but there is a big difference in thinking you can do it and actually doing it. When the adrenaline is pumping, you're in a life and death struggle. It is not only a life and death struggle for you, it is a life and death struggle for the person that is trying to hurt you. Everybody, we just need to step back and take a realistic look at what we would do in that situation. And Baz on Blades tries to stay as realistic as he can. I am no kung fu master, just like all of you. I've seen all the John Wick movies, but that doesn't mean I'm John Wick. It just means that I bought the movies and I've seen them. There's a big difference there. So 3.6 inches of blade length is much better in that situation than 2 inches. Now, if you prefer just a small neck knife, you can get any of the various minimalist models. This is a drop point. It is a beautiful little knife. It is. I can't say anything bad about it at all. But for my intended use and purpose, this 3.6 inch blade is what I've always been waiting for from the Minimalist. Now, let's talk about material here, and then we'll get into fit and finish and stuff. Material-wise, we're not top tier. This is Columbia River Knife and Tool. They're not known for using top-tier materials. What we've got for our blade steel is 8CR13 MOV. That is a Chinese-made stainless steel. It is considered a high-carbon stainless steel. It would be best if you compared it to 440B. You will typically find this stainless steel rock weld in the 57, 58 range, maybe as low as 56, maybe as high as 59, but it's not a super steel by any stretch of the imagination. The edge retention is decent. Like I say, it's pretty much going to perform like 440B. So it's not going to hold an edge forever. It'll be easy to resharpen. Impact resistance is pretty good on this steel. It will roll an edge before it will chip the majority of the time. And corrosion resistance is pretty decent. Now this blade features a bead blast finish, and bead blast is well known to be one of the less efficient surface finishes as far as corrosion resistance goes, but with 8CR it's still not very much of a problem. I've never had 8CR rust on me. You might have some spottiness on a bead blast finish if you live in a coastal area. You've got a lot of salt in the air. You may have some issues with it, but just a minimum of care and it's pretty much good to go. The handle material is described as a fiber reinforced resin. It's basically no name G10. It is layered green and black. That's pretty subtle. The surface has got sort of a linen-y, fibrous feeling, almost like a micarta. I like that feeling. The color, I don't care for. I don't think it's a very attractive green. That's just Baz on Blades. That's neither here nor there. Probably what I will do is I will pull these scales off after the review and I will dye them, just dye them black, and then I'll be good to go on that. But it's going to perform like G10. It's held on with some T6 Torx head screws. It is fitted well. It is radiused all the way around and it feels good in the hand. And from there, we're going to go into fit and finish, and it is typical Columbia River knife and tool. There is nothing refined about this knife. The grinds are passable. They're passable. I have a sort of an issue with compound grinds. To me, they're gimmicky. I've never seen it proven in any shape, form, or fashion in my hands that they aid in any type of cutting over just a well-done standard grind. But they look cool. I mean, you got to give it that. They look cool. And for my intended purpose as a defensive piece that I'm not going to be carrying for utilitarian use, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I would prefer it be a single flat grind, but you know what? Who cares at this point? Like I say, I'm not going to be cutting with it. I hope I never use this knife for its intended purpose for me. But I mean, the grinds are okay. You can see a little wankiness here in the grinds going from the hollow to the flat grind. It's fairly even side to side. The bead blast finish is well done, I guess. The fit and finish on the handle scales is pretty done. There's some nail catch points, but really in the hand you do not feel that at all. The fit and finish issues that I see they're just niggly little, I wouldn't be happy if this knife paid or cost twice as much, but at $29, $30, no big deal. They're not going to interfere with the performance of the knife. It's not billboarded up real bad on the blade. You've got some identifying stuff on it, Columbia River mark, and you've got some pretty decent. It could be a little more aggressive, the jimping here, but the ramping it is just perfect as far as its placement forward of this forward finger choil, so you're not compressed way back. It feels really good in my hand, and that's going to take us into the utilitarian aspect of this knife. And I think that the popularity of the Minimalist pretty much stems not only from its compact size, which does fill a niche for people that like to carry neck knives, so a very small compact fixed blade, but Alan Folts, when he designed this handle, I would have never, if I would have just looked at this knife and saw that it had a 3-inch handle, I would have been like, that's crazy. That's never going to work. It's way too small. But when you put this knife in the hand and your fingers settle into those individual finger choils, it is absolutely fantastic in the hand. It is extremely secure in your hand. It is locked into your hand. And Columbia River does put this box woven lanyard on the tail end of it, and it works for a purchase for your 4th finger. I actually like that very much, although for my personal use, I wish that lanyard were about half length. I think the length of it sometimes gets in the way as you rotate this knife to try to use it. I think that the lanyard would be perfect about an inch and a quarter long, because that's really all you need for that 4th finger. I've got large, medium sort of hands. I've got large hand volume and size with medium length fingers. So you see, I don't really need all of this. That's just, I don't know, what are you going to do with that? It's just useless to me, and sometimes it's in the way. I could use a shorter lanyard, but you know what? That's just for Baz on Blades. You may like it long. I don't know. You might be some sort of long lanyard weirdo freak. I don't know. That's your personal business. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to talk about the knife. So the design of the handle is just the outstanding characteristic of all the Minimalist knives, and they all have the same handle design, the same handle size. The only thing that's different is in the blade. If you want something small with, say, like a 2-inch blade, like most of the Minimalist models are, for about 5 inches overall, I mean, that feels absolutely just fantastic in the hand. It is an awesome design, guys. I cannot take anything away from what Alan Folts did as far as designing this handle. They come in multiple different blade styles. They're all going to be in, let's say, the 2-inch blade length, except for this Katana model in the 3.6-inch blade length, and that is what drew me to this knife. Like I say, it's Columbia River. I know most of you guys have owned or held or carried multiple different Columbia River knives. as you've journeyed through the knife enthusiast sort of growth curve, as you first get into knives and you move up in quality and you move up in price and you move up in knowledge, you're going to go to superior materials, superior builds. You know, a lot of people go through Columbia River. I did myself. 20 years ago, I was a big supporter of Columbia River knives. And I am still a big supporter of what they offer to the market, being basically budget-oriented production versions of custom knife designs. Majority of knife enthusiasts do not buy custom knives. Do not let the internet fool you. 99% of knife people do not own custom knives. Very small percentage of them own custom knives. For a company to bring you custom designs at a budget price that anybody can get into, that is a very good business model in that respect. I wholeheartedly support that in Columbia River Knife and Tools. Now, there's not a lot to say about the Minimalist. Like I say, this knife has been out for years in various iterations. You know, we've talked about the material. There's nothing there that's going to blow your socks off. The fit and finish is, it's decent. You know, I'm not going to say I've taken this out and I've cut 100 million things with it. I have worked with it. And it's, you know, behind the edge up here is, it's sub 20 thousandths on this hollow grind. They've done a good job getting a nice thin edge for your more detailed slicey cutting. And then you've got the flat grind out to the tip here on this secondary grind, and it's not too thick behind the edge. It's just maybe 22 thousandths behind the edge, maybe. I don't think it's even as thick as 25 thousandths. But I don't think that anybody is going to be buying this knife really worried about how thick it is behind the edge. And like I say, I'm not a big fan of compound grinds. It's just a gimmick to me. Some people love them. I'm not saying that you're a bad person because you like compound grinds, even though you probably are a bad person. I'm just saying that in my opinion, it's not needed. A good, simple, plain full hollow grind or a full flat grind on this would have been just as good as far as utilitarian cutting. You do have a pretty decent tip here. It is, God, I'm so shaky, guys. I'm sorry. I'm still suffering with my back injury where I took that fall off of that ladder, and I've had a bad day. I've been in pain all day, and I'm super shaky. So I apologize for that. But the tip is, it's functional. I think a resharpen would really bring that out. It's not a super thick tip. You can see you've got a decent distill taper. Once you get up into this flat grind, it's almost immediately from the beginning of that flat grind, you've got the distill taper going down to the tip. So it's thin enough at the tip. It's not super duper thin. I don't think you're going to be snapping that tip off if you just look at it. But it is an acute design on this trailing point. It's supposed to be a katana shape. Doesn't look anything like a katana to me, but, you know, whatever. Bazon blades, you know, whatever opinion. But you got a decent tip to work with right there. I think a resharpen by the owner would really bring this blade along, although you would have to account for the different edge thicknesses as you set up your sharpening angle. You can see here on the thinner hollow grind, the secondary bevel, the edge bevel is much shorter than it is on the thicker portion of the flat ground edge. So Columbia River knife and tool, Alan Folts designed Minimalist. What more can I say about it? Seriously though, if you've never had a Minimalist in your hand, go down to a knife store, your local retailer, whatever, that sells a minimalist. I've seen these in Walmart's, Bass Pro, Cabela's. I've got Smoky Mountain Smoky Mountain Knives right down the road from me, so they've got the whole Columbia River line. I sold literally thousands of Columbia River knives when I worked there, and I've got other minimalists here. It's a fantastic design. Columbia River quality is Columbia River quality. You just got to make your own decision on that. I think really though at $30, it's okay. It's okay, guys. Blade steel snobs are going to be like, HCR13 MOV. Oh my God, I wouldn't buy my dog a knife in HCR13 MOV. And that's good because dogs don't use knives anyway. And he's just going to poke his eye out. Dogs don't know anything about knife safety. So there you go. The Columbia River knife and tool produced Alan Folts design Minimalist Katana, giving Baz on Blades what he always wanted from the minimalist design, and that is more blade length. I think that there is, if you want a neck knife, it is a fantastic little design. I could never ever say anything bad about this design. It's one of those designs that comes along and it just transcends. It feels so good in the hand. No matter what iteration you get, this knife feels so comfortable, so secure in the hand. You will not believe it unless you actually pick one up and check it out yourself. All right. Baz on Blades is going to recommend this knife within the parameters of what I've said about it as far as material quality, fit and finish, intended use, all of that on a sliding scale, of course, determined by what you as the individual buyer is looking for and wants out of his individual knife purchase. So there you go. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch one of my videos. God bless all of you, and we will talk to you again.